Joel Sherman back with three things. Look, I'm going to do something more full for this on Monday. I'm writing an awards uh, article over the weekend who I think should win the eight major awards. That obviously will include AL MVP, and I promise I'll do this fuller on Monday. But just to start here with number one, it's impossible to ignore Cal Raleigh hit homer number 59 and 60 yesterday. Aaron Judge hit number 50 and 51. The race is clearly down to them. I always tell people from fan bases, act like the guy is on the other team. If you're a Yankee fan, for example, act like you have a catcher who hit 60 homers. And I didn't tell you anything else. And I just told you that guy didn't win the MVP. You'd go crazy. So when people say it's not even a race, I think that's ridiculous. I don't think catching has ever been more difficult, both physically because of the demands of how pitchers throw now with such velocity and movement, and mentally because each batter comes with an individual scouting report as opposed to whole teams like they used to. So I think what he's done is remarkable and MVP worthy, but so is Judge. I think that this is a real race. And just again, I'll go into this in more detail on who I think should win. There will be an article posted over the weekend at nypost.com. It will be in the physical newspaper on Sunday, and we'll do this further on Monday. But I'll just want to give you two statistics on Judge that I find remarkable. There was a time where Babe Ruth used to out-homer teams when home runs were rare. I know this is going to sound silly, but you know what's rare today? Intentional walks. Teams don't believe in it. The analytic teams do not believe that intentional walks make sense. So this is an historically low period for intentional walks. Aaron Judge not only leads the major leagues in intentional walks at 34, no other team has as many intentional walks as Judge does by himself. The other 29 teams, nobody has more. Judge has 34. So he is a cheat code. Other teams are showing you the fear factor of this player is like nobody else. And just, I'll leave you with this also is there have been, in this century, eight 200 OPS plus seasons. The first five were tainted to some degree. Four by Barry Bonds, one by Sammy Sosa, and then you have three by Aaron Judge. And the third one is this year. And of course, he's not just clearing the bar, he's up at about 213, 214, which means he's 113, 114% better than the league average. We're watching one of the greatest hitters of all time compete against the catcher who's having probably the greatest catching offensive season of all time. I think that's pretty obvious. And just one of the greatest seasons of all time. And it's going to be a tough decision. I promise you'll read about it over the weekend, and I'll go deeper on this on Monday on why I made the choice I made. And by the way, I don't have an actual vote. BBWA, I don't have a vote this year in any category. Rookie, Cy Young, Manager, MVP. I don't have a vote, so it will just be me. Number two, when the Yankees signed Max Fried, the comparison I made was to Jimmy Key. Athletic left-hander, had already won the clinching game of a World Series by the time he came to New York. Completely unflappable, and it's all turned out to be true. Jimmy Key was one of the great change agents in Yankee history. He was signed after the 1992 season. The Yankees were particularly awful in 1989, 90, and 91. They got a little better in Buck Showalter's first year in 92. But 93, they went over 500. They have not gone below 500 since then. And Jimmy Key, back then, 34 starts, 236 innings. To me, it looks a lot like Max Fried. They asked different things this year. 32 starts, 195 and a third innings for Fried. And I just point out, ERA plus 139 for Key in 1993, and it is 142 for Max Fried this year. And just like Key, there was nobody else. If Key doesn't pitch the way he does, those Yankees don't challenge the Blue Jays to kind of the end of September to try to win the AL East. And if there's no Fried this year, the Yankees aren't challenging the Blue Jays in the AL East. They might not even be a 500 team without Max Fried this year. With Garrett Cole gone all year, with Clark Schmidt lost a couple of months in, with Luis Heel not pitching the first 4 months, with having to lean on rookies, Will Warren and Cam Schlittler, with Marcus Stroman never kind of figuring it out here this season. Fried in some ways was just as valuable as Aaron Judge for the 2025 Yankees. Last thing, just because I didn't get to it yesterday, I want to talk about robo-umps. They're coming in 2026. I think that this is the right format. Players, managers, umpires, fans, nobody wanted at a high percentage the automatic ball strike for every pitch. If you've been in a ballpark for the challenge system, where the catcher, pitcher, or hitter could tap their head and ask for a challenge, you know that it's fun. It goes up on the board, whether they do it. It's strategic when you should use it. And remember, we want to keep the game moving. These last about 10 to 15 seconds. There's an average of about 4 a game. So we're talking about less than a minute a game added this way. It brings some drama. And what you're trying to do is get the egregious call out. And look, there's one other thing you can't ignore that they're trying to get out. Gambling has been mainstreamed in our society. Lots of people do it. As we know, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz from the Guardians are in big trouble. They're being investigated. The questions are about individual pitches like ball strikes, velocity, etc. When you could bet on ball strikes in a conspiracy theory age, you better have a way to make people believe that the umpire isn't in on it or the pitcher isn't in on something and that you're playing a legitimate game. And I think ABS gives us a better chance for people to believe in the product.